Hello, how are we? Chris in Arena Studio Land with a live stream for you, 5:30 Q&A. I'm trapped on my chair already. It's not going great. What have we got for today? Well, as you can see, seems a bit dark in here. Just move that light. Don't go away. Oh, dear me. See whether that makes a difference. Possibly. I don't know. Pentatonic basics. This is one of the questions that's been thrown at me this week from one of the students. What are pentatonic scales? Pentatonic scales, if you're trapped on a desert island and you have to take a scale with you, a pentatonic scale is probably going to be the one that will do it for you. It's a very simple penta, meaning five-note scale. Tonic is the first note of a scale. So it's a 5-note pentatonic scale starting on the first note, which is, if we look at this in the key of, say, A, we'll keep it easy. We're going to play this. We're going to play 5, 5, 8, geez, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. So what we've got is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the scale starts again. And then we carry on and we just drop it 2 notes on each string. Well, that's a basic pentatonic first position shape. So what's all this about? Well, really, if you take the natural minor scale, which has got 7 notes, and you take the second and the 6 notes away from it, it leaves you with a 5-note scale, which is the minor pentatonic. So it's just a variation, a just slimmed down version of the natural minor scale, really. So it's very good for, playing a few licks, and as everybody likes to rock out and play these little rock licks and phrases. Now, me personally, I'm more of a modal player, which is where modes and pentatonics, it's all very similar. If we take a 5-note scale like a pentatonic scale, we basically start, and we've got 5 notes. We start the scale on that note, and then the next position that we use, we start the scale on that note, and then the next position, and so on and so on and so on. So we end up with 5 different shapes across the fretboard, which is what we can use to make groovy licks and phrases with just these 5 notes, like I say, spread out across the fretboard. Well, modes are a similar thing, only using all, if I use, say, the G major scale, I would use all 7 notes of the scale rather than a major pentatonic, which is the 5 notes, which is the 4th and the 7th taken off it, if I remember right. And that would leave you with a major pentatonic. So I'm a big believer in using, if you've got 7 notes, use them. If you've got 5 notes, then that's what you prefer, then great. So for me, a mode would be starting on the first note, and then the next mode would be starting on the second note of the scale. So if we did it sort of C to C, we would get this. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Your next mode would be D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Sort of based around old church music, and then E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Now, people say, well, why don't you just play it in one position? And the same principle applies to your pentatonics. You can play it in the same position, but it just sounds a little bit lame and a little bit bland after a bit. But playing it in one position is without a doubt the most important way of starting to experiment with a pentatonic scale. So the beauty of the A minor pentatonic scale as well is that you've got this thing that, if you know your fundamentals of music theory, if we took the C major scale and we took the 6th note, which is A, so we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, that becomes the relative minor if we start the scale from that 6th note, which would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Hope that makes sense. So it's the C major scale. You just start it on the 6th note, which again, in a way, is a mode of it. So that gives us the beauty of being able to play a C chord, but we can actually play an A minor pentatonic. Will work over it because A minor is the relative minor to C major. So again, understanding a little bit of theory is what's going to sort of help you out there. And then I would suggest working with the A minor pentatonic and playing it possibly over a C major backing track, which will give you, you might get a few sort of wrong notes and bits and bobs. But it's probably one of those things that, don't know who that is, I've got a sneaky feeling that might be the doctor. Your next step would be to take it to the blues scale, where you add the flatted fifth on the A minor pentatonic, which then gives you that blue sound. But I'll talk about that at a later date. The most important thing is understanding the 5 box shapes. And I would start with box position 1, which is going to be that. And have a little play around with those notes. And don't try and do, this is the fundamental trap that we all fall into when we've got a pentatonic scale. We go. And we don't sound musical. But what you've got to try and do is take little phrases of it and start to just try and get a couple of little bends and take a couple of notes from it, from a couple of lines. I've not practiced today, can you? And just have a little play around with it. You know, feel where you're going to and try and make it sound musical rather than scalar. So, I mean, I could talk for hours about scales and modes, and because, like I say, personally, I'm not much of a pentatonic player. I do try and how I sort of do it. I would be looking at, say, I was in the key of C major. I would try and play something a bit melodic, and then put my little chops in between the melody parts, so that I go from a major scale sound with melody, because I've got 7 notes to choose from rather than 5 in the pentatonic. Pentatonic scale is brilliant for getting great phrases and licks out of. And then I'll dip into the relative minor to actually put the licks and the fast runs and all that type of stuff on that. So it's a little bit complicated how I tend to go about it. I might be a little bit sort of old school with modes and things like that, but for me it's an important part of lead guitar playing and working with melody and backing tracks, etc., and all that type of stuff. Understanding what you've got to do and where you can go is crucial to it. So there's a little insight into the pentatonics. A 5-note penta, meaning 5, tonic, first note of the scale. Literally a 5-note scale that you're working on. 2-note per string shape, which is your starting point to go for, I would. And then when you get to grips with that, we'll look at the next position. And we'll see how we can link the 2 shapes together, and then we'll have 3 shapes and 4 shapes and 5 shapes. And we'll see what happens over the next few weeks with our little bit of pentatonic basic madness. All right, so that's it. I'm going to try and switch this camera off again now, because I've got a little mix that I'm loving working on. So I'm just going to dip back onto that before my next student at 6 o'clock. And I'll see you same time, same place, same spot on the dial. See you. Thanks for watching. Bye. How do we do this one? Here we go again. Oh, wrong button again. And, oh, it's a joke, isn't it?